Shae's awesome.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start. Hello and welcome again to another episode of Red Valkyrie Presents. I am Shae the Red with my amazing co-host CY.borg Valkyrie, aka Alex.
Hello everybody. Yes, we are finally live. Promise It wasn't our fault like the other 694 times.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We don't talk about it. It's fine. Especially because we are here with the awesome Narwhal, who has been crazy busy, but was nice enough to carve out some time for us. So how are you doing, Narwhal?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm at a place with slow internet, so I'm just using my AVI, but I want to give everyone a quick tease of where I am. I'm in like a cabin.
Nice. It looks so freaking Christmassy there. Like I don't even have a wreath out. I've got like a little tiny shitty battery operated
They can't see
twine. I know. I'm saying back here behind the green screen. That's all that I have. That's nice. The extent of my Christmas.
All That's all it takes. Just a little bit. Just a
smidgen. So you remember that it's supposed to be Christmas, despite the fact that there's no snow and it's 2020.
Yeah. No one can do anything. Yeah.
Exactly. All holiday parties have been canceled. It's great. Super fun. So before we get into the awesomeness of why we have Narwhal on, we have our obligatory post for if you are into anime and like tea, definitely go check out thedragonstreasure.com. Use code Red Valkyrie, you get 10% off, and you get to help support us a little bit. So we very much appreciate it. Okay, Narwhal. So you have been working on this kind of hush hush for a while, because I remember seeing bits of the animated video that you have on your campaign, and I thought it was for Foreign Agent, and I was so confused for so long.
Yeah, I felt like I could share the animation because it wasn't giving spoilers. Like no one would know what it was anyway. It didn't give anything away. But that was my idea. Yeah, for Foreign Agent, I did a little bit of animation for the launch video, and it got a good response and worked well. And I wanted to do that again for 499. And I want to do it, maybe keep doing it, keep practicing a little bit of animation here and there, because eventually, in like this could be like 5-10 years even, but I want to try and dabble in like some longer animation projects. So these little opportunities to like practice and do a little bit of animation.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Unhinged Entertainment, for the $2. I'm still stuck at work. Have a good stream. We will try to get on with you for topic list later. So let's watch your video so people can kind of appreciate everything that you did with all this animation. I remember the fan and seeing it for a while and being really confused as to what was happening.
Yeah.
I love it. It's just like so like secretive. It kind of gives you a tiny hint, and then that's it. Like right when I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? Totally done.
Yeah, it's definitely like a teaser. It's just 30 seconds. Like doesn't really give anything away. It gives the mood away pretty well though. It's kind of like a horror movie. Like I don't know, like even like the imagery from like Terminator, where it's this big powerful robots crawling after this girl. This is kind of like these big war hero old men that sure you can try and kill them, but they don't go down easy. And you could like shoot, you can even get the jump on them and shoot them like 6 times, and then they're still gonna come after you. So you have to survive that if you're gonna try and take them out.
And I love how you had like the deep cuts and everything into his cheek, and it's been bleeding down, and he just like looks up and smiles, and you're like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. It works for that little pitch video. Oh.
I borrow ideas. This is Narwhal streaming from a kitchen. He's streaming from a cabin that I'm assuming
Yeah.
Narwhal's not chilling at by himself.
Yeah, there's a dog eating in the background, so that might be picking up on the mic a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. We will deal. It'll be okay. All right. So why don't you get into?
You just eat raw meat straight from the bowl. So,
You are really quiet. I don't know why you're so quiet right now, Alex.
you suck. That's why. Can you hear me?
I might mute my mic until if I'm not somewhere to talk. I'll do that.
No, that's totally fine. Well, before you mute your mic, why don't you go ahead and give us a rundown of what 499 is?
Yeah. Okay. So it's Cold War era paranoia meets 1980s slasher flick, but like it's like structured a lot like Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like a revenge checklist, that kind of subgenre of movie where these three like leaders in this community are getting targeted and they don't know why, but it's because of something they all did in the past that they have in common. So some of that intrigue kind of gets explored during the story. You find out what they did, why someone, who, and why is targeting them. And it kind of manifests in this like generational warfare thing of these kids that have kind of been pushed to their limit with this strict kind of a culture that the adults have created, kind of like rebelling. And they each kind of have a decision to make if they want to like, to what degree they want to like support each other, even just via like their generation. Like kids that might be enemies, they might want to like become friends because they're this kind of like generational conflict is coming to a boil.
All right. We also have one of our first questions. Zaid Comics wants to know, why is it called 499?
Yeah, that's based in the original pitch that Richard gave me. And I think, this isn't really a spoiler. So 499 is like a reference to the fact that these kids, they have like PT requirements that they have to do, and they're insane. They're like, because their whole culture is based around like this military kind of fitness culture. So all the high school kids have to do 500 push-ups. And that's like the spray paint in the community. Someone spray paints, sometimes they just want to do 499. And it kind of is like, becomes a rallying cry of rebellion. And the teachers want to squash it. But then it's also a reference to something that happened in the past. And that's kind of like the mystery of why it's more of a life and death thing rather than just like a rebellion thing.
Right. Oh, that's actually really fucking cool. So this is something that you have drawn it, you wrote it, you basically did everything for it, but you said it's based on a concept by Richard Meyer. So how did that kind of come about, where the two of you teamed up together for that?
Yeah, good question. So like the timeline, at some point he read and reviewed and really liked Earthbound. And then Earthbound, that was a big like watermark level up for me, because then Earthbound sold a lot because of his review. And that was actually the time that I quit working at the deli. So this is like 2 years ago, maybe, or a year and a half ago.
Uh-huh.
And then I immediately reached out to him and I was like, we could work together on something if you're down. And we had talked here and there about that possibility, but we were never that close. We just email like once every 6 months. And because he'll tries to respond to almost everyone, his thing too is sometimes it's like a one sentence response, because he tries to get back to everyone. But so he pitched me 499, and then I knew I actually hadn't written for other people in that way, which is very much or at all, which is a whole new like professional skill to develop, is to be able to like deliver something that makes a client happy about what they want while also being what you want and artistically fulfilling what I want. Like I couldn't just take his idea and write whatever the hell I want and then to give it to him. Like I had to make him happy too. And I wasn't sure I could do that, but that process was like some ups and downs and this kind of nervous process, but it all worked out in the end of this back and forth of kind of writing this script and presenting it to him. I think I took a long walk though, and I got that initial concept of like, I know what to do. I can do it as a revenge checklist, a lot like Nightmare on Elm Street. Although it's actually kind of reversing the good guys and the bad guys for Nightmare on Elm Street, but still kind of that like 1980s stalker vibe, but then in this world that Richard had been developing and alluding to, which is kind of, it's like this alternate history where the Cold War wasn't a Cold War, it's like a ground war in Europe, and where the US fought Russia. And then it's like the war hero Americans from that generation, them kind of versus their kids. Their kids are like softer than them, and building up that theme, like Ya Boi Zack, he would reference that as like Footloose almost. So he wanted it to be like, Footloose mixed with The Wraith is like another movie reference. If people know The Wraith, that's another revenge checklist movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen driving a badass car. I was going to ask you about the history of this. Is it basically like around the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, instead of everything de-escalating, everything just heats up, and then we have a land war instead of nukes? Because you alluded to that, a couple of decades of ground war, and we're now in an alternate history 80s.
Yeah, like this one, it takes place in like the 2010s, like modern-ish, like people have cell phones and stuff. And yeah, like the big action was like a while ago. It was like 20 years ago or so. And there's still like mandatory service, and there's still like all the kids get shipped out and have to go somewhere, but they aren't really seeing what the older generation saw in terms of like crazy action. And I guess one other element is like, there's like this kind of paranoia thing of the town and America in general is kind of scared of Russia, and Russia is like, a force, an infiltrated force in the town, so that there's some characters in the story are literally Russian spies. And so that kind of like that in, spy warfare kind of is playing out too in the background.
Gotcha. So not just the upfront war, but the clandestine behind the scenes stuff too.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. So everyone who backed on day one got a zine with this. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I did that with Foreign Agent. I offered a little like zine booklet for day one, and it went really well, and people kind of liked that and liked the excitement of that. And I was a little nervous about launching in December, that turned out to not be a bad thing at all. But I wondered if people, if they have to buy gifts and stuff, so then you don't have money to buy a comic. But a lot of people, it can still, I don't know, that's like less of an issue, especially maybe during COVID, I don't know. But yeah, so just having something offered on day one seems to help. And all that is like a really simple kind of, like if anyone backed, I did one called like Narwhal Fitness, and it had just like 16 sketches. And this will be something like that. It might be 20 sketches though, I think. But yeah.
Okay. And then you also have a couple of add-ons.
Now I want a copy of Narwhal Fitness. Thanks.
Right. Well, so, okay.
Yeah, just calling it Narwhal Fitness gives it some street cred. But that one was actually not about anything to do with Narwhal Fitness. It was just called that.
I was going to say, speaking of fitness, is this coach telling these kids not to help this kid that has a barbell like on his throat?
yeah. The next page of that, like that's kind of like that scene is like, I guess, like a moment to kind of illustrate like a metaphor for the broader relationship between these adults and the kids. But that coach wants the kid to do it himself,
Well, I mean, yeah, but I've been in that situation. There's a point where your arms just aren't gonna get it back up, where you have no strength.
Look, there is no Department of Education anymore. It's all been diverted to the war effort. You got to toughen these kids up.
That's crazy. That, like, I get it, but fucking brutal. Holy shit. All right, so you had a couple of add-ons. You have POD, payment on delivery. What is this? Yeah,
so that was me and Ya Boi Zack were talking about how to structure the campaign, and this possibility of doing a bonus book came up, and he's like, you'd be perfect to adapt this crazy idea I have. And he gave me the idea in like 2 paragraphs, and that one was a well-formed idea. Like the paragraphs were almost an outline for a 16-page comic, like almost a script, but just like very fast, And so I was able to write that really quickly, and we did it in this kind of simpler black and white style. The font's a little bit bigger, even, like it's just kind of like it could be printed at zine size, but I think we're going to print this at standard comic size. But but it just went well. Like for some reason, this one really went smoothly. Like the idea was hilarious. I kind of don't want to give too much of it away, other than you can read the way it's described here. But it's definitely like kind of like a Twilight Zone short, and I'm kind of proud of it. Or I think Ya Boi Zack is too. We're both like, this is a hilarious little short comic that came out of nowhere. I think the process of writing it and drawing it was like, 3 weeks maybe. So really quickly busting it out. And then
that's awesome. And then, of course you can add on Foreign Agent, which if you guys haven't seen Foreign Agent, this book is gorgeous. Like I just got my copy the other day. It is beautiful, Narwhal.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think Ya Boi Zack, I think he's going to review it sooner or later, and hopefully he likes it. He's not one to pull punches, even if we're collaborating. He'll be objective and tell the truth or whatever. But yeah, it's like, so it is getting good reviews though. People are excited about it, and it's selling well within this campaign. I think it's sold 200 copies or so far.
Wow, that's impressive. And then obviously you can get Zach's Impossible Stars graphic novel, which also seems pretty awesome. Okay, so stretch goals you have to be announced. When are you announcing stretch goals?
I think pretty soon, like later this week or early next week. And I don't know for sure, but I think I can even say what they'll be, because they'll probably be what they normally are for my campaigns, which is Narwhal stickers, Narwhal business card, and then a cool like manga sized postcard print.
Okay.
When
are we going to get you to do patches?
Yeah, maybe I could do some patches.
I'd like to see 499 on a patch. Just saying.
Oh, that'd actually be kind of cool.
Like spray paint kind of
yeah.
499 on a patch.
That is good feedback. I'll run that by Ya Boi Zack too.
Just like that top image there. The dripping spray paint kind of thing. They can
like it is in the background of that would be awesome. And I definitely think so we know a guy. I know a place where you can go and get really good quality patches and stuff. And so if you want, I'll send you that information. And yes, past master. And we are talking patches, for fuck's sake. You're on a Red Valkyrie stream. Okay, patches are coming up. Like, we all know this.
Narwhal, I've got to ask you about the stuff you sent out with Foreign Agent, because Shae tells me that she got some kind of card or pass or something like that.
Yes! Oh, the Narwhal card. That thing was fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, that's the business card you got, yeah?
Yeah, because I read that and I was like, I don't know what half of what's on here means, but I feel like it's pretty important.
I know. Yeah, that a lot of that's like referencing Earthbound, and those go all the way back to the Earthbound campaign. But I'm out of them now. I might order more, but I might redesign a business card. But I kind of like the idea of giving a business card as a fake business card within like world building or whatever. Like within 499, it could even be like a business card for like a real estate agent who lives in the town or something like that.
Or like a Resistance membership card.
Yeah, card carrying Antifa.
The Resistance is so strong that they had business cards made.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like that one was called Narwhal Mafia, which was kind of a short-lived meme where I was kind of trying a a little too hard to create my own memes early in Comicsgate. When
Narwhal
I realized
life.
you got to go with the and like Narwhal Lifestyle, Narwhal Fitness, Narwhal Mafia. But Narwhal Mafia didn't really stick, but that was the one that went on the business card. But I could change it to Narwhal Resistance.
Ooh, that's good. Oh, I was supposed to say this earlier on, but I forgot. I had one of your family members come and visit me, and they hung out with me for a while, and they decided that they just weren't going to leave now. So I just wanted to kind of let you know.
Nice. Look at him.
I bought
Unicorns
them
of the
before I
sea.
knew who you were. I just found it the other day. So, and it's screening out, which is trippy as fuck. Anyway, yeah. So I saw this and it made me instantly think of you. I thought it was hilarious.
So
Yeah.
she has a narwhal stress ball, squeezy gel thing.
Squeezies. It's full
Did
of
you
the
guys-
little beads.
So one kind of just funny thing we can talk about briefly that's been in like on Twitter in the last few days is this campaign did good enough that I'm getting my 15 minutes of fame in Comicsgate kind of. So I've had some anti CG people,
Oh
namely
yeah.
Vicky. She's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
going after me a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Not to put a too fine a point on it, but Vicky is a total piece of shit, and you can quote me on that. She's tried to come in the chat and dox Shae.
She has successfully come in the chat and dox Shae.
Well, I mean, it
Oh,
was deleted
damn.
after the fact, but the point is, she's a piece of shit. And so seeing her go after you, that just tells me you've made it. So, badge of honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I kind of am enjoying seeing that from afar. And Joe Frago's in the chat. He's defending my honor on Twitter, and that's
He really
nice,
is.
Joe.
We've been keeping up on it. I've been laughing my ass off because so here's the thing that makes me laugh is your art style. When I very first saw it, I wasn't quite digging it because you're so stylized in the way that you do. Like if you look at a really good example of it is right here in this fight scene where you have like crazy foreshortening, you have really harsh angles, you've got a lot of like really dramatic stuff, especially when you're at distance shots. Everything gets a lot more like geometric shapes. And initially I wasn't sure how I felt about it. And then I started paying attention to the stories that you were telling through those panels. And I was like, you know what? This actually works so well. And when you see your video, the animation that you did up here, this that you have play is exactly what I see when I'm going from panel to panel in any of your books. I see that same kind of animation and that same kind of like kind of gritty, unfinished, raw kind of feel. And it's just like, oh gosh, it just works so well for the stories that you're telling because you're telling these really intricate and kind of visceral stories with that.
Yeah, thanks. It's true. Like it pretty much the pages look how I want them to look. I sometimes wonder, I'm like, is this like a blind spot? And I am trying to improve while still keeping like the things I prioritize, like the energy and the perspective and stuff like that. But yeah, like I read like any European comic and it's like scribbles kind of like mine, and I'm like, I think I'm okay. I think there's a whole genre like this.
You're great. You're phenomenal. Like this chick, this is the girl that I'm attempting to do with what I can on short notice. But like this chick has this like crazy allure to her and still looks very, very feminine without being overdone or anything, right? And I love this little side glance that you got going from her where she just looks kind of coy and a little evil. Like I really love you. You're really good at capturing emotion. You're really good at capturing feeling throughout every panel, and everything flows and moves. It's not static and clunky and heavy. It moves very well.
Thanks. Oh, that reminds me too, that character, she's a cool character in the story. And Ya Boi Zack, one of the notes he gave me about the world building early on is he's like, there would be like a shortage of men and an abundance of women because of like this war situation. So there might be a lot of like horny 40-year-old women. And and these high school kids, you know. And I was like, oh yeah. So she's having an affair with a high school senior, and she's like a beautiful 40-year-old woman kind of thing.
Oh,
Wow.
And that's in the story. So there's like soap opera type stuff in the story. There's like affairs and this, I don't know. Sometimes it reminds me of the way like a Stephen King kind of book might be. Like he'll have like a soap opera plot in a town, and then on top of that he'll throw like a vampire story or something like that.
yeah.
So just to kind of echo what's going on in the chat right now, they're talking about your style, and for me, I mean, having seen your work, it conveys. You know how when you watch an action movie specifically, and they delve into like super slow mo, and you get that you get the distortion of the human form in those situations,
Right.
like at the point of impact and things like that. That's a lot of what your art conveys to me, especially in these action scenes, is just how there's so much frenetic kind of motion involved.
Right. Well,
Yeah. Yeah. There's something like you can look at photorealistic like 3D models and pose them perfectly and take a photograph of it, and it looks wrong. So I'm like, something's weird. Like when things are moving, they do distort. And so you can kind of draw distortion.
And now our
Right.
chat is exploded with people talking about cougars. Thanks, Narwhal.
cougars and cocaine energy. Those are the two things that I'm seeing, is a lot about cougars and a lot about cocaine energy. I love our chat. So just like here, when you first see it, you can tell that this is one kid trying to get the jump on another kid trying to jump out of the way, right? And you show just enough of like, okay, he got slashed open, but then when you see this here where he's taking him down, you see just how bad that cut actually was. It wasn't just like it was glancing, but it was enough, you know, and everything just feels really hectic.
I don't know if you guys have ever been cut like that, like a really sharp cut. It looks like nothing at first until it starts bleeding. Like
I do that all the time. Like with crafting and cooking, I always end up getting like, I'll tap myself with like a hibachi like knife or something like that, and you're just like, oh, that's fine. And then 2 seconds later, you're like, oh, that's not okay. That's bad. I might have cut a lot deeper than I thought. You're like, wait, I need paper towels. Like,
yeah,
A carpet knife will really cut the fuck out of you. But yeah, you're right. It's just a completely straight, flawless seam, and then that seam opens, and everything falls out.
Yeah. But yeah, with people talking in the chat, like a lot of people have this experience that I've got some feedback to where they have like an arc with my art. Like they'll come around, like they'll start not liking it and then they like it after a certain period of time. And I kind of like that, you know, like when you win people over like that, they like it more. Like that's like an interactive experience in itself. Of part of reading the book is like having the art style grow on you.
well, and I gotta be honest, that's kind of what ended up happening to me, is because like I said initially, I was like, you know, it reminds me of those old like French cartoons and stuff that I used to watch like way forever ago, and was like, it's reminiscent of that, but I don't know if that's really my style for an entire book. And then I start seeing more of your stuff that I've missed out on. And once I hit Foreign Agent and we started like really talking about what was going on there, and I started looking at it and knowing what the story was, I was like, this is probably one of the best ways to tell this story, because everything just, it has such a life to it. And so it turned from I don't know if this is my bag, to I'm pretty sure I'm going to insta-back almost anything Narwhal, because the stories and the emotion and the experience overall ends up being so much better than I guess than what I initially expected. I thought it was going to be interesting, but not like super amazing. And then the more I start learning, the more I ended up loving it.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because we've just hit upon the analogy of don't judge a book by its cover, or don't judge a narwhal.
Oh yeah.
Don't judge a narwhal by one.
Yeah, and one thing that, like, I don't know if it's a side effect of this kind of situation with the art, but I do get a lot of people, like, they'll maybe defend me, which is nice, but then I get they'll like my book enough to market it, help me market it, like telling their friends about it or something, because it kind of feels like a discovery, like, because it's still kind of, I'm not like that well known yet, so people will read it, they're like, oh, this was pretty good. Like, I'll get some kind of fun random feedback like that. For Earthbound, I think there was a guy in like England, and he's not part of Comics Gate, he's just a random Twitter guy, and he's like, my friend sent me this book because he said it was awesome, and it was awesome. And I guess this guy did it. And I was like, cool. That's cool. That's just out there in the wild, getting shared and stuff.
Right. Well, and I think that it's got to be very rewarding to know that you kind of have, it's almost like a cult classic. Like you kind of have a following that love what you do and that want everybody that they can possibly get to have that same experience so they can love it too. And so it's like this group of people that are like, no, you don't understand. You got to come and check this out. And they're like super loyal to whatever you produce. Cause Sai and I went back and we looked, your books, your campaigns, each one has gotten better and better and better. Like,
yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's cool. And I noticed that too. And that's awesome. And that's like a comment on Comicsgate in general as well, how it's growing and empowering artists. But that is like something that's happened with my books that's been awesome, is that they grow, the audience has grown each time. And on that note,
that was compiled in a tweet today in like a series of screenshots going back to all your campaigns. And I mean, every single one of them just grew. And this one is about to, let me see here. You're almost at 45,000. How old did your last book do?
I think Foreign Agent was like 42,000. So we already passed that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing great, man.
Yeah. But yeah, and then just kind of on that note, I'm really excited about like doing more books. And I'm excited about like new scripts I've written, and I think I am getting better at writing. But it's funny, it's like it takes time, it's like some of this stuff's like 3 years down the road on like my plan. That's one thing in the background I'm kind of experimenting with, is like some collaborations and maybe like working with some artists where I'm just the writer and trying to get more books out faster that way. So yeah.
That's awesome. Eddie Winkler, thank you for the $10. It says, happy Monday, everyone. Narwhal, this book looks fantastic. Anyone who can't see the raw talent you have probably don't appreciate art in general. Haters gonna hate, but you stay great. Totally agree.
Thanks, Eddie.
All right, so let's go over your tiers so people know how they can back you. So you have your featured tier for $40, and that gets you what exactly?
That's the book 499, which is part 1. The total story is going to be about 180 pages. I think your boy, he might want me to shorten that, and I'll see if I can. But because it's like the full story is written and it's kind of formatted. This how I usually write is it just write it sort of like a movie script. Like it doesn't dictate panels, and I figure that out in the thumbnailing process. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I think it's a 90-page script. So it's like in the end, it'll be like watching a movie almost when you read it, which is Foreign Agents kind of like that. A lot of my books are kind of like that. And so this is about, like the first 40% of the story. And I didn't plan it this way, but this part 1, I realized it's structured identically to The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So it has like you introduce a character, you follow them, then you follow a party in the community, and then in the after hours after the party, there's a murder, and that's kind of like this whole first part is like that kind of stuff.
Awesome. So that, like, I'm pretty sure that's what I ended up backing at, because, why would you not?
Yeah. Oh, and that one comes with payment on delivery. So you get the 2 books. That's like, the recommended thing to get. And then you can just get the book, which is $25. You can get the Narzac 4-pack, which is Foreign Agent, payment on delivery, Impossible Stars, and 499.
And just to let you know, I did put it out in the chat earlier that what's up on the campaign right now is that the main book is 72 pages.
Yeah.
So so the main book you're doing 72 pages. Is this like part 1 of 2, or?
This is part 1. Yeah. And then like part 2 will be next year. And then me and Ya Boi Zack will decide if that will be like all the rest of the story, or if it'll be a part 2 and there'll be a third part to finish it. One thing with the script too, that it has, I'm kind of excited to get there, but it has like I think it might be a 45 pages of script is like an action scene with like car chases and kidnappings and all sorts of shit hitting the fan, chaos in the town kind of thing. And that would be like not 45 pages of comic. That would be like 100 pages of comic. So I'm looking forward to that, to have like some, I guess, like, like manga will do that often. They'll have like 100-page action scene, but I'm going to do that with this book. So it's going to be cool.
Just to really quickly answer a question in the chat, Rebel Gaming, welcome. I understand you're late to the party. We covered that for about 10 solid minutes about the criticism that Narwhal has faced about his art style, and the people that like it, the people that hate it, and the pieces of shit that are dog groomers. So feel free to just back up a little bit, and you can absolutely hear all the details of that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I see in the chat too, Chris Ori says, I can't imagine Zach and Narwhal on a phone call together. What's funny about that is we just email, and he emails kind of like, I don't know if this is like a boomer way to email, but he emails instead of texting. So he'll send like 1-word emails, 1-sentence emails, and he'll send like 40 of them. So the thread will be like 40 long.
He thinks everything is a text message or a 40 cookie.
Yeah.
The Splittering wants to know, when are you and Zach going to live stream together on this?
I'll bug him. We should make an appearance together at some point. We've been on a live stream once before, but it was brief, and I don't believe we like really exchanged words. It was with Ethan, just a random Comicsgate Live kind of thing, like 6-7 months ago.
Well, hey, we'll throw it out there now. If you and Zach both want to come back on here to talk about 499 when you're getting close to the end and wrapping it up, both of you are always welcome. I'm more than happy to talk with you.
Thanks.
But yeah, I think that it's interesting. I thought it was so funny when I started seeing how many people are giving you backlash for this, because it's obvious people who just don't have any kind of appreciation for any sort of indie art or indie storytelling or anything along those lines. And I think that it's so sad because they have no idea what they're missing out on just because they want to hate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got some haters like here and there from other campaigns. Foreign Agent, for some reason, might have flown kind of under the radar. Earthbound, just kind of anytime you get a little bit of a, 15 minutes of fame kind of thing, then the haters come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, it's and especially because of how quickly it happened for you. I think so. In your first day, you just skyrocketed up. It's obviously going to, because it gets it trending, it gets it everywhere, and then people are like, "Well, this is stupid because it's successful." Like that. My favorite thing is taking this one panel and being like, "Yeah, this is really great." And you're like, the entire page tells such a fucking dynamic story. But you're right. That's like taking a Van Gogh and just focusing up on like one tiny piece of it and then being like, well, this is obviously crap. Like, what kind of artwork is this? And you're like, well, you got to take it. Look at like a tiny section of it. You have to take the whole fucking thing in.
Oh, that's right. That's what she did. She looked at one fucking panel and was like, look at this. Oh.
Especially because it has the colorful language saying you want some of this bitch. So that just obviously, look, they're all about violence and hate and look at how bad the art is. And it's like, none of that is true. And this is very on point for what the fucking story is. It's just, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it definitely works better as a page than a single panel. And like the panel, some things I might do sort of on purpose. An interesting thing to discuss with that is like in that first panel, that page, there's a guy in the background who's drawn. I won't defend him, like he's drawn bad in the background, but I don't fix it. But I might now. Maybe I should, but I don't fix it because I like how it deals with the focus. So like it's like it shifts your like you're not supposed to look at him. Like the focus is elsewhere on the page. So I just leave that funky because you're not even supposed to look at it, kind of thing. But I don't know.
I mean, and that's the thing is, it's like there's many different ways to try and direct focus and flow of a page. And so the fact that he just has this one highlight right here, but you have all these the two guys that are your main focus, and it's all over on them. That does make him kind of a superfluous character. And then when you're scrolling down and you see like in the background all these other guys, you're like, yeah, none of them matter. They're just to kind of fill in the space to show that this happened in a public area. There were people around, things like that. And the people that you pay attention to are the ones that either have the speech bubbles or that are doing the action. But when you look up close and you start looking at like the scene here where his arm's opening up and the scene here where he's about to stab down at the kid that he just took down, like those are well done. And it shows him as like almost like blindly mechanical in his response, because everything here feels so like life or death. And that's kind of what they've been brought up in, is everything is life or death. And so he hits a point where he's like, all right, well, you're going to come at me, so you have to be eliminated. And it feels cold and calculated instead of like emotion driven. He doesn't feel like he's overwhelmingly angry. He just feels like he's taking out a threat.
Yeah. I'm glad that came across. And yeah, it is just kind of, the more subtext, the better. Like the more things going on. And yeah, like, so it's like on that bottom panel, I do it too, or in the background, like within this style, if I drew them differently, that would be weird, because then your eye would go there and it's not supposed to go there. So it's kind of like drawing, if it was a movie, it would be out of focus almost, you know?
Right.
And so you just kind of do that. But there still is sometimes, like if it looks too weird, like the neck on that guy in the top corner, I probably will fix that before it goes to print.
Yeah, I can see that. The lack of neck, you mean? The no neck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, he's beefy. This is gym class.
He's one of those kids that only weightlifts. It's fine.
Yeah.
He skipped leg day. All he did was neck.
Right. He skipped arm, leg, and torso day. Okay. So we've got a couple of good questions that have been popping up in the chat, and so let's roll with them. We have Frog G says, we covered patches. So Narwhal, if you could be any kind of tree, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. It might change. That answer might change like weekly as I kind of know more and think more. But I'm into apple trees. I've seen a bunch of, there's around kind of where I am in the Northwest, and I've noticed something weird is apple trees, they'll lose all their leaves before they lose their last batch of apples. So there's a point where you're just looking at these super dead trees with all these like bulbs hanging off of them. And I'm like, that's weird.
What kind of apple? I'm just curious, because Shae introduced me to a new variety, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I wish I knew. These are just like wild apples in the Northwest, kind of in people's yards and stuff. They're red apples, I don't know what kind of.
So being so close to Washington, that there are just a shit ton of apples grown in the Pacific Northwest. New favorite discovery if you haven't tried them, Honeycrisp.
Oh, I love Honeycrisp for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
they're amazing. Yeah, I had never tried them before. All I had was like Granny Smith and Red Delicious, and Shae introduced me to a Honeycrisp. I won't go back.
Yeah, that was all. I was like, try Honeycrisp. And Alex eats one and is like, can we go get 10 more? I'm like, we'll go get a couple more. Like, I don't think we're going to eat all 10.
We ate all 10.
We did. Yeah, we ate all of them. Oni64 says, would Narwhal ever consider making Earthbound into a series for Netflix?
Yeah, but there's a funny question that's kind of like, would I sell out to the devil? And I'm not sure. I kind of want to say yes, but I don't know.
And kind of related to that.
Chris says, so this may have been asked, but when's Earthbound 2? I'm dying to get back into that universe.
Yeah, thanks for asking. That'll be my next book, and I think it'll be in the spring. It'll be definitely right after 499, so I'm pretty sure in the spring. And I'm really looking forward to launching that one and making Earthbound 1 available, because Earthbound 1 sold out, and a lot of people didn't get a chance to get it that wanted to. So
I missed it, yeah. So I'm excited to see Earthbound 2 so I can get both.
And we have Eddie Winkler, who wants to hire you after you're done with your Zack project.
When Zack cuts you loose, I'd love to work with you next year, even for just a poster or something. Sorry to discuss business here, but I had to ask.
This is a rhetorical
I think for
question.
a poster, I can do that.
Nice. Look
We
at
have a
that.
rhetorical question from your ardent defender, Joe Frago, in the chat.
Did you know the Narwhal peed his pants one time because of a zipper mishap? I feel like I remember hearing about this. Narwhal is my
Yeah,
hero.
I pulled that on a streamer too. Yeah.
Wasn't that the stream where you got too drunk?
There's been a couple of those.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
sure
mean,
which
you
one.
haven't exactly narrowed them down. Narwhal, in the beginning, am I
Yeah.
crazy in remembering this, that you stood up on your chair in your underwear with holes in them and stuck your fingers through the holes from the inside to the out?
Yeah, I did do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure I was remembering right, because
I did one stream.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I did one stream where I found a little tear in my jeans and I just ripped it all the way up and I ripped my jeans off.
That also sounds really familiar. All of this was before I had ever really talked to you, but I do feel like I remember us talking about the ripping jeans story. We just kept going until eventually you were like, well, I'm up to the waistband, so we're done with these now.
The splintering says Narwhal is a fig tree. That was going to be my second answer is figs. I lived next to a fig tree all summer.
Oh, fig. I thought you said fake. I'm like,
No.
I was going to say like a Dr. Seuss tree, one of those crazy ones that does all the interesting shapes and bright colors.
So an acid tree.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's an acid tree.
Phil, how about a Honeycrisp? Grow up in Florida. You get two kinds of apples.
Accurate.
Let's see here. Robin seems to indicate that Netflix would be a bad idea. Go somewhere else. Otherwise, you're getting canceled quickly, because that's what happens on Netflix.
Fair enough. Wolverine wants to know how much money would the devil be offering for a Netflix deal. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And there was a question way early on about if you ever sealed the deal with your landlady.
And here's the follow-up. We still don't know if he ever smashed his landlady or not.
Yeah. No, I haven't baked bread with the landlady in a while either.
Oh.
Might be due.
Oh, and
I want to bake some bread to mail. I want to mail people some loaves. Is what I want to do. I might do an Indiegogo just for Narwhal baking, home baking. Just like
get your Narwhal
20 bucks
here
for a loaf. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh God.
I really like all the people that were saying that I would never get too drunk on stream, and then Ramen says that Narwhal learned it from watching me. Thanks, guys.
That's funny.
It's only happened a handful of times. It's fine. And I did get so drunk I threw myself out of a chair once because I couldn't figure out how to turn off my camera. But it was great. Pedro says his baking bread slang for breaking your landlady's hip. What? Go ahead.
She has a Dutch oven that she'd let me borrow. So I would literally put a bun in her oven.
You say Dutch oven, and I think of farting and then pulling the blanket up over the person's head so they can't escape it.
That is also what that means. I guess.
Yes.
That is also another definition of Dutch oven.
I did it to my ex. She puked.
It's okay. She deserved it.
I felt very accomplished.
GC says that we need an Indiegogo for a collection of Narwhal stories, which, not gonna lie, I would actually probably back.
One time on a Narwhal stream, chapter 7.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny. I don't know, maybe eventually something like that. Yeah.
We do have another actual question from Chris. He says, what sort of story ideas were you thinking up for interactive comics and RPG Maker stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. Specifically, too, that's like, I have a buddy who I met in Iowa City when I lived there like 5 years ago for a couple of years. And I didn't have any friends, so I went on campus to it was like called Video Game Club, and it was for making video games. And I met this one dude there who's cool, and he's kind of weird, like me, and kind of like socially awkward, but I think he's like really talented, and he's not super successful yet. So he's kind of just like, I think he's working a day job, but I kind of reconnected with him, and I'm like, oh, I want to work with him. I always like everything he does. And I kind of was thinking he's really good at pixel art. I was like, maybe we could make like a fake RPG comic in a pixel style. And so we're thinking about that. And he sent me some tests and they look cool. It's definitely, in that realm of who knows if this is actually going to make money or whatever, be like commercial. But for now, we're kind of exploring it. It's pretty fun. But also what we're doing is it came from a tweet, but we're adapting Franz Kafka's The Trial as a 90s DOS game, but as a comic. It's like the idea.
Oh, interesting. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
The Splintering wants to know, how is the prosciutto slicing business going?
It's good. I kind of quit slicing, but I have a bunch of the deli meats in my fridge, and I think it might have been prosciutto, or I don't know, it was one of the more crazy ones, and it you really have to chew it, and some of it won't digest from your saliva, won't break it down, so it's like becomes cow cut in your mouth kind of, and it can get jammed in your tooth. And I think some of it got jammed in my tooth and gave me a pretty bad toothache. And
I hate that.
So then I flossed for like the one day a year I might floss because of the emergency situation. And so now I'm in recovery.
Shae got me these toothpick flossers, and they are fucking amazing. Like anytime you get pretzels or chips or, sandwich bread or, half a steak crammed in your tooth, or anytime you eat popcorn. I mean, I'm addicted to these things now.
Yeah, they are helpful. I was gonna say, I think that's why they slice prosciutto so thin, isn't it? Because otherwise it's really chewy and stringy and sinewy.
Yeah, totally.
We talk about the hard-hitting facts here on Red Valkyrie.
We do. 52 minutes in, we're talking about prosciutto. Come on, guys. It's very important. Oh, and Silver just got her notice, so YouTube is only fucking up by an hour as opposed to 18. So that's helpful, kind of.
So hi, Silver.
Hi, Silver. Welcome. Is there any other bits about this project that you kind of want to highlight at all, Narwhal? Like any other little tidbits that we should know?
Nothing off the top of my head, but I'm glad I got to say what I did say and kind of get out there. I'm really excited about it. I think it's the best thing I've written so far. So I think it's like better, at least the writing. I think it's better than Earthbound, better than Foreign Agent.
Ooh, that's impressive. I definitely am very excited to get this, and this is April. You're looking at April. That is soon.
Yeah. I'm already diving into production. Got about 30 pages left to draw. I'm trying to bust those out. And then
are you doing the colors too?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
You're crazy.
It's Narwhal.
Hey, are you staying safe in Portland? I saw some crazy Oregon shit today.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't been there in a couple weeks, but yeah, it's still crazy. It didn't really die down after the election. I thought it might, but it's still kind of weird stuff going on. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, good. Stay safe in that mountain cabin, and
yeah,
you got a bunker, right?
That's why he's in the cabin.
Yeah,
he's in the mountain cabin to get away from the crazies in Portland.
With a freezer full of lunch meat. You're safe. There you go.
Yeah.
Solid. Well, thank you so much for hanging out, Narwhal. We love having you on, especially when we get to talk about really interesting and cool topics like books that you're writing, because you always seem to write really involved kind of storylines that are just really captivating. So I'm super happy that we were able to get you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'd love to come back sometime. I'll ask Ya Boi Zack too, see what he says.
Yeah. Absolutely. If not, if he doesn't want to come on, then you are always welcome with or without him, because we love having you on and talking with you. for everybody out there who is watching, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Make sure that you share around the link to the stream so people can get some of their questions answered about 499, and go and back if you haven't already. Alex, you got anything that you would like to say?
Not at all. Just don't be a stranger. Good luck on the project. And holy shit, you're at basically 45K already. So yeah, get those stretch goals ready because you're gonna need them.
Hell yeah, and I
Yeah, thank you.
be talking to you about patches just because.
Patches. Oh, yeah, patches. We did.
Was
talk
that
about
it? Was that your O?
Oh, patches.
Oh, gosh. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you to everybody who's watching us on replay. And as always, thank you so much to all of our patrons and YouTube members. We couldn't do this without you guys. And we will catch you all next time. See you later.
Bye-bye.